Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. People, not you, not you guys and girls that are here right now. Thank you, Hippie Jazz Temple. I was just gonna ask if you guys and girls can hear me. People talk a good game, they really, really do, and then when they're presented with a solution, they don't want to hear it. It's an incredible thing. When you sit in this chair here, you learn a lot about psychology of people, how they work. They all yell and scream. Now, again, not I'm not directing this at you guys and girls. Go bot. Thank you. I appreciate it very much, and thank you too. They sit there and they complain about inflation and the economy and they're struggling. But again, they're they're so indoctrinated into the current paradigm. They can't break out. And this is a direct result of conditioning, repeated conditioning via the mainstream media, the propaganda, what's coming out of the mouth of politicians. JD Vance here today, who's clearly lost his way as well. And I promise you that I will pray for this man. And there's obviously something going on here. People, look, we need to rebuild this nation from the ground up right here. We can't just lower rates and expect that the world, due to the exchange rate, is going to say, oh, yes, now we want products made by the United States of America. This is the main. I mean, there's several facets to this here, but there's a lot of people who believe that we need a weaker dollar, weaker than it is now. Even the president of the United States and now his vice president. The US dollar has already lost 96% of its purchasing power. What's the right number? 97%? 98%? Maybe even 99%? Again, they don't have an answer. But again, you hear a politician, again, now JD Vance, jumping on the bandwagon. We need lower rates, which means, of course, a weaker currency. What's the number? Right, Mitch? Thank you. What is the number here? It's astonishing. 96%, even maybe 97% of the dollar's original purchasing power is gone. So when you hear, again, a politician say we need a weaker dollar or we need lower rates, which means, of course, you see, this is the game that they play. A politician is never going to, well, that's not true. President Trump has the guts to say we need a weaker dollar, weaker than it is now. In other words, he's well aware that the dollar's lost 96% of its purchasing power. So President Trump, let's give him credit where credit's due. The man's got some guts to actually say, hey, you know what? I demand a weaker dollar. Where's the pushback? I don't know. They're all been silenced here. You can't speak out against that. But again, so what they do, instead of say, okay, well, we need lower rates. President Trump coming out recently saying, hey, you know what? We need 1%. We need the Fed to cut one full percentage point. And of course, that means kill the currency. You can't have one without the other. That's how they work. Pace arrow, thank you. And thank you as well. So when this is so disturbing to me, this is what we need to do. And I'm going to cover this with you. I understand clearly that the United States, first of all, our manufacturing sector right now is in contraction by their own numbers, layoffs skyrocketing, factory activity, manufacturing. This is not going to improve without returning purchasing power to the currency. Let's just break this down. Okay. Let's just say a miracle occurs and the dollar starts gaining purchasing power. People will start to consume more. They're going to buy more because their dollar, in this case, has more purchasing power. You got it? Okay. As people consume more because the currency is now stronger, factories will need to produce more on the back of a stronger currency. Does that make sense? Okay. So the opposite happens when you hear about a weaker currency or lower rates. Productivity drops on the back of consumers who can't afford to buy anything. I mean, this is the most basic stuff you could possibly imagine. So again, when you hear a politician explain to you that we need lower rates, and that means to kill the dollar. Again, 96% of its purchasing power lost is not enough. What's going to be enough to make the United States competitive, right, Charles? On the world stage, we need to rebuild the economy here. We need to increase production here first, then work on the exchange rate. Right, John? Are you listening? Okay. I'll talk about John in a moment here. John's a good guy. Him and I went back and forth a little bit. We had a disagreement on, J.D. Vance here coming out saying, we need lower rates here along with Donald Trump, and me saying we need the polar opposite. Okay, we need to return purchasing power to the currency. We return purchasing power to the currency, the consumer will consume, and production must increase. Factory activity comes out of contraction. Does that make sense? I mean, this is really simple stuff. Now, before I even go on about all that, let's just cover the market real quick. So yesterday, we found out that there was a framework that was agreed to with the China deal, right? Enoch, I appreciate you so much here. Exactly. You know what? You never know. But anyway, and they agreed to speak more. And that sent stock futures lower. President Trump this morning came out pre-market saying there's a deal. There is no deal. Zero deal. Nothing. Okay, it was just a lie, another piece of propaganda. It was an attempt to prop up the stock market. Didn't work. When President Trump came out this morning, I'm not putting the man down. I'm telling you that's what politicians do, and this is what he did. Okay, stock futures did go higher. We couldn't hold on to those gains because it's a lie, another lie. Okay, politicians can't tell you the truth. They can't do it. It's an impossibility. We need to face some harsh and hard realities, and we could fix all of this, okay? And I'm going to present to all of you the solution. There's several ways to fix this. We know that returning to a gold standard, it would be the way. We know that President Trump has the power to eliminate the Federal Reserve in 7 seconds. By the time he finishes his signature instituting the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, the Fed disappears. They all are fired. President Trump would have the opportunity to tell Powell all the way down, you're fired across the board, but he won't do that. If we would reinstitute the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, again, it would kill the Federal Reserve. It would start a domino effect around the world, and central banks, all of them, would collapse. That would be the greatest gift to not just the United States, but the world. Not going to happen. Instead, what are we hearing from now J.D. Vance, of course, President Trump? We need a weaker dollar. We need lower rates here. Again, all this does is empower the Federal Reserve. Weaker dollar means the Fed has to print more cash. Debt surges here. Productivity drops on the back of the consumer who gets crushed under inflation. Does that make sense? Of course it does. So, again, we could fix all this. Gold Reserve Act of 1934, or we could take the other route here and raise rates. But that won't happen either, because raising rates, first of all, I understand that raising rates would cause an initial pain. We're going to suffer it anyway, okay? But I'm going to cover this in more detail in just a little bit with you, but I want to lay the groundwork here. So basically, again, it's just more lies and more propaganda. So what's happening here, when you have, again, J.D. Vance coming out explaining that, again, I'm going to cover this in a second with you, that President Trump is right. And he actually said that the Federal Reserve is committing monetary malpractice. It's him, J.D. Vance. He can't tell you that he's the one committing monetary malpractice, and the Federal Reserve is going to lower rates anyway. This is just a game that they're playing right now. Again, this morning we got the CPI number, consumer price index. It came in great. Just prices are rising, but just a tiny bit. This is a green light for what? For the Fed to cut rates. They're setting the groundwork. They're going to cut rates. And how does a central bank cut rates? They can't just say it. They have to create currency out of nothing, buy the debt. That's how it works. It's massively inflationary. It's a revolving door. Central banks, as you know, collectively have now become the lenders and buyers of last resort. They issue debt through one door in the form of currency. They buy it back through another door. Let me show you how pathetic this is. Right now, we are 9 minutes into this. We have 739 people. That's it. Generally, we have 2 to 3 times that many, but they don't want to hear that there's a solution to the problem. They look to people like J.D. Vance. They look at people like Donald Trump and believe that they have the solution. They do not have the solution. Again, their solution is, we've already lost 96% of the purchasing power of the dollar. Let's kill it more. What's the number? Someone should literally ask J.D. Vance, since he's the new guy backing up Donald Trump here, what's the number? Is it 98%? Is it 99%? What's going to pick up the economy? By killing the dollar, what do? We kill the consumer, can't consume. We kill production. We kill the factories. We wipe out manufacturing. Does that make sense to you? Or is Greg still out there and has no idea what he's talking about? So let's move. I don't know which one I want to talk about first. Let's talk about Vance. And then we're going to move on to my solution, our solution, because we know it'll work. So it's now Vance front running the collapse to bring in the New World Order. Now, you all know my video from this morning got flagged, right? Dean, thank you so much. You prefer me without the Rasta hat. My hair's not so bad. In the morning it's crazy. Anyway, Lines, this is a setup, and let's break this down. Let's look at this together. This is J.D. Vance. Vice President J.D. Vance said the Federal Reserve is committing monetary malpractice for not cutting rates. In other words, let's kill the dollar. Let's go from 96% of its purchasing power lost to 97, 98, 99. That's really going to help you. It's going to help you consume. See, J.D. Vance thinks you're dumb. I'm being honest with you. J.D. Vance thinks you're really dumb. I was going to say a worse word. Okay. He thinks that you believe that by killing the dollar here, on the back up again, lower rates, that's going to cause you to spend more weaker dollars, and that's going to increase your ability to consume and factories will pick up. No, he literally believes in his heart, either that or he's aligned with the devilism, okay, that you're dumb. Which one do you think it is? I personally think he's the Antichrist, or an Antichrist, okay? But let's move forward here. So Vice President J.D. Vance said the Federal Reserve is committing monetary malpractice for not cutting rates in a post on X. Van argued that the soft May CPI set up here for the Fed to cut, okay, data gives the Fed room to ease. He's 100% right. You see, he's not that dumb, but he thinks you are. Okay. He noted that President Trump has been pushing for a rate cut for some time. He's 100% right there. Let's cut rates. Let's kill the dollar. What's enough? I don't know. Maybe someone should ask them. Here, J.D. Vance. The president has been saying this for a while, but it's even more clear the refusal by the Fed to cut rates is monetary malpractice. You can't make that stuff up. Let's move forward here. So the mask, helping the people. This is what's being sold to you. J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and it wouldn't matter what creature they stuck behind the Resolute desk. Now, these just happen to be the tag team there, Now that Musk is kind of out of the picture, I suppose. I don't know. So the mask is helping the people. Vance, Trump, and others say lower rates will help workers, help small businesses, and stimulate the economy. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? This is a lie. Let's expose the lie. The real agenda, lower rates equal weaker dollar. Weaker dollar equals loss of purchasing power. Loss of purchasing power equals dependence on the centralized system or their system, and they're going to roll out their digital system. It's coming. We all know that. The ripple effect, why they will unleash, what this would do is create a ripple effect of erosion of obviously more currency purchasing power losses. This would also signal to the world that the United States will sacrifice the value of its own currency. Okay, Vance can't tell you this, to float the debt. That's really what this comes down, and allows the Fed to create more of it. It's the weight of the overwhelming weight of the debt right now, in consumer debt, personal debt, household debt, and government, that is crushing the United States, and lowering or devaluing the currency further is only going to make it worse. People, this is so easy to understand. I hope I'm making sense to you here. So the U.S. will sacrifice the value of its own currency to float the debt. This destroys global faith in the dollar as a reserve currency, and accelerates what? De-dollarization. Does this make sense to you? And what happens when the world stops using dollars? Do they just stop moving through time and space? No. Those dollars start coming back here to the United States, and you get a greater blip in inflation. But you see, J.D. Vance isn't stupid, and neither is Donald Trump. They know this. If I know this, you trying to tell me they don't know it? Really? Fallout. Hyperacceleration of national debt. The Fed and the Treasury must issue more and more debt to finance deficits. Debt death spiral locks in, ensuring an inflationary depression. Now, this is a key, people. Lower rates will not restore economic growth. Debt saturation has already destroyed growth. Come on, man. Does anybody here, I don't care how much you might worship Donald Trump or J.D. Vance, do they not understand this? That, again, lower rates is not going to restore economic growth. Debt saturation has destroyed growth by their own numbers, but they're telling you that we need lower rates and therefore a lower currency. That's going to restore growth here in the United States. You can't make it up. And there's no way, I do not believe in my heart that neither J.D. Vance nor Donald Trump or any central banker is that dumb. They all know what I am saying here, and you know it is true. Let's move forward. What results is an inflationary depression. The cost of living soars, real incomes fall, consumption collapses, businesses fail, unemployment surges, confidence in fiat evaporates. This is the death phase of Babylon's economic cycle. Now, either the United States is being destroyed from within, meaning Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are in on it, or you guys and girls tell me what's going on. Why? They want the collapse. Lions, they want the system to break. Why? Because in the ashes of the old dollar, the old market system, the old debt-based economy, they will roll out the next phase, and everyone knows it's coming. Central bank digital currency, programmable money, total surveillance of all transactions, social credit-based financial access. In other words, the digital throne of Babylon. Do I sound like maybe a guy who knows what he's talking about, or no? No. Vance and others calling for lower rates are not protecting the people. They are front-running the collapse to bring in the new world order. The ripple effect will tear the remaining economy apart and strip the people of remaining purchasing power. Does that sound about right to you? Lions, we are being steered intentionally into an inflationary depression to justify the next enslaving system. Now, before we move forward, again, this is in your inbox, guys and girls, if you subscribe to my newsletter. Does this sound right to you? Or is J.D. Vance and Donald Trump correct? We need to take 96% of the purchasing power of the dollar lost. It's not enough. We need to do 98%, maybe even 99%. And that's going to help you consume more because you'll be able to buy more, right? And that's going to help our manufacturing and factories. That's going to help, right? No, it should make absolute sense to you that what I've just said is 100% spot on truth. Now, I'm willing to sit here and learn. Tell me, does anybody here believe that I got that wrong? I'm looking at the comments here. Anyway, all right, guys, listen. No, thank you. Now, we can fix this. Here's the solution. This as well is in your inbox. Again, Trump and Vance want to lower rates and kill the dollar. They're saying that's the way to go. I'm saying we need to do the polar opposite of what Vance and Trump are saying. This is my solution, you guys and girls, our solution, because we know what I'm about to read to you. First of all, a lot of you have already read it. This is the truth. This is what needs to happen, but it won't unless I take action against it. It's up to us. Do you really believe that the J.D. Vances and the Donald Trumps really run the system? They're the vast minority. I'm talking about two people here. There are millions of us. Imagine for a moment if we banded together what we can do. Honestly, it's incredible. Anyway, the core problem is a dying dollar. And I have a solution here. It's not my solution. It's our solution. And this solution, again, it's too easy to be easy. Lions, I always say that we are stronger together. And here I have the proof. Now, this is alluding to a conversation I had with a gentleman named John. Earlier, I had a conversation with a gentleman named John. In my previous post, I was referring to this one here. You can look at our back and forth over there. With that conversation came this. If the dollar dies, I want you to listen to what I'm saying here. The dollar is almost dead. It is grasping for a lifeline right now. This is not an accident why the dollar today is almost erased. Okay, this is deliberate. Can we agree? Okay. Now, if the dollar dies, America dies. Full stop. The dollar is, I want you to listen to this, okay? The dollar is the foundation of domestic consumption and production. Period. Full stop again. If the dollar loses more purchasing power, as J.D. Vance says it should, and President Trump says it should, and soon the Federal Reserve is going to follow suit. So we have the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, and the Federal Reserve all on the same page. Does that sound right to you? Of course it doesn't. Anyway, let's move forward here. If the dollar loses more purchasing power via the mechanism of lower rates, this will hurt domestic consumption and production. I just laid the whole case out for you at the beginning of this video. To truly make America great again will require a complete rebuild of the domestic economy first. And that needs to start with building a strong foundation. Does that sound right to you? Okay. First step, return purchasing power to the currency. This would increase consumption, as I've already outlined for you, and therefore production. Factories would wake up. Manufacturing would wake up. Does that make sense to you? Does J.D. Vance not understand that? Does the President of the United States not understand that? Either they don't understand that, or there is another agenda here, people. There is another agenda. Let's move forward here. Let's break this down. Without a strong currency purchasing power, the real economy collapses. Look at what's happening now. Do you need any more proof? Okay. Workers can't afford goods. Businesses lose customers, and productivity implodes. What lower rates really do? This is what Vance doesn't want you to know, neither does Donald Trump. Okay. I'm not picking on either one of these guys. These are the facts here. Okay. Right now, Trump and Vance are calling for lower rates. In the current economic environment, it's economic suicide disguised as stimulus. Here is the true chain reaction. Lower rates equals a weaker dollar equals higher costs, more inflation. People consume less, factory orders drop, factory and manufacturing dies. We're not exporting anything. You understand? Overstand? Now, let us move forward. Inflation equals falling real wages. Lower rates equal weaker dollar, higher costs. As I said now, falling real wages, crushed consumption, crushed consumers, lower productivity, higher unemployment, more government dependence, and guess what? Babylon wins. What should be done instead? Here's Greg Mannarino's solution, your solution, because we all know that this would work. Now, let's walk through this here. The domestic economy must be rebuilt first. This requires restoring purchasing power to the dollar, and the only way to do that is to tighten monetary policy, not loosen it. When J.D. Vance here and President Trump say we need lower rates, a weaker dollar, that's quantitative easing. That's exactly what it is. Nothing makes a central banker happier than hearing a sitting president and a sitting vice president say, hey, we need more QE. Can't make this stuff up if you try to. It's incredible. So let's move forward here. This requires restoring purchasing power to the dollar. The only way to do that is to tighten monetary policy. This will strengthen the dollar, incentive savings, along with investment in domestic production. Easy. A stronger dollar equal higher real wages, restored consumption, higher productivity, and sustainable growth. Does that sound about right? Why higher rates are the hard but right path. Now, I realize what I'm saying would initially hurt. So let me move forward here. Fact, it would hurt in the short term. Yes. Is it already hurting? Of course. But it would also cleanse out zombie companies, push capital to efficient uses, strengthen the currency, rebuild the domestic base of production and therefore consumption, or vice versa. Does that make sense to you guys and girls? Of course it does. Bottom line, this is what's going on right now. And this is what J.D. Vance and I would assume Donald Trump, because he is referring to the president in here, don't want you to know. America cannot survive on debt and consumption. It needs to produce and to consume domestically to earn and save. Does that sound about right to you? The choice is clear. Vance and Trump are calling for lower rates equal protect the debt market, kill the dollar, enslave the people. Greg Mannarino and you want higher rates, protect the people's purchasing power, rebuild a real economy, restore national strength, actually make America great again. Now, which do you believe is the right way to go? Trump and J.D. Vance's solution, which is much more debt on the back of a much weaker dollar, or our solution? People, look, man, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Anyone who's choosing Vance and Trump has an alternative agenda here. I think we can pretty much say. We're already bankrupt. Look at it. I can't even read this. Higher rates would bankrupt the government. You don't think we're already bankrupt? You think by adding more debt to the situation is going to get any better? This is the mentality of people. Now, I'm not putting this guy down. Obviously, he doesn't understand the situation. We're broke. We're absolutely broke. We have nothing. We're destitute. We're the most indebted nation on the face of the earth. Now, this guy and many other people believe that we have to add more debt to the debt situation, and that's going to fix it. You can't make that up. But that is, some people believe that. These are the ones probably that's supporting Vance and supporting Trump. Support yourself. Believe in yourself. For those of you that have no conception that we're broke, that it's over, well, there are hard choices that need to be made. Absolutely. I understand that. All of us should understand that. But this is what I'm talking about. When you have a populace that says something like that, and many people believe that, it's true. We're broke. We're already bankrupt. So what do? You have a drowning man. He's drowning. You save him by throwing more water on him? It's the same thing. Jonathan, right? Jonathan, you know what? I don't believe that's true. I believe that we could save this. President Trump could do it in 7 seconds by eliminating the Federal Reserve, instituting the Gold Reserve Act of 1934. Or we could do it this way. Paul Volcker did this. Yes, there was an initial hit to the economy, but after Volcker vastly raised rates, the economy took off. We had the most productive economy ever after the initial hit. Right, Urban Cowboy? Look, man, they're not going to strike down a damn thing. They're all on the same page. They all know where it's going. If I and I realize that people hate this term I and I, okay? It's unity. You. You're not you. You're not separate. We're the same, I and I, all right? I'm going to keep using it because people hate it. So I and I here, we understand where this is going. They're killing the system on purpose. Henceforth, J.D. Vance coming out today saying we need lower rates. The dollar's not dead enough. It's already lost 96% of its purchasing power. Let's kill it all so they can issue in this new system. Central banks run the show. You think that the Supreme Court and those people have no idea? People, look, man, it's up to us. It's up to I and I to make a difference, honestly. And look, you know what's going to happen? This video is probably going to get flagged too. My morning video got flagged for using New World Order in the title. You can't even use these terms, even though George Bush used it 6 million freaking times here. It's being used by the mainstream media. It got used by Pimpco, saying, get ready for a new global order. Isn't that the same thing as a new world order? But we can't say it. No, we can't say it. But it's okay for them to use that kind of term. You can't make it up. You cannot make this stuff up. It's impossible. Guys, look, we covered a lot here. I am going to open this up to a little talk. For those of you that think I got this right, I'd love to hear from you. You guys and girls think I got this right. Honestly, look, man, I can take it. Believe me, I can take it. J.D. Vance and Trump, here's a vote here. Is J.D. Vance and Trump right that we need to kill the dollar more, which of course is going to kill consumption and kill productivity? That's the way to go? Or is Greg Mannarino the way to go? Return purchasing power to the currency, increase consumption, and therefore increase productivity. Which way do we go, people? Which way do we freaking go here? Right, Magic Mika? Come on, man. Magic Mika knows. All you guys and girls know. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Oh gosh. Anyway, Mitch, thanks again, everyone. Look, I got you covered always, guys. I really, really do. But we have got to come together, man. We got to unify. I love to think that we are, but you see, you guys are my base. There's 1,100 of you here right now. That's it. Of the 200 and what, 80,000 people that are subscribed to this blog, you guys and girls are the only ones that really get it. And I'm sure this video is going to get about 20 to 25,000 views, but think of what I'm saying here. Less than 10% of the people give a damn. The rest of them don't care at all. They talk a good game. They put their faith in J.D. Vance's and Donald Trump's and Kamala Harris's and Bidenstein Creature Man. And look where we are now. Worked out real good, huh? It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. It's incredible. But look, man, I'm working so hard to keep you guys ahead of the curve on all this in knowledge and in wisdom and in action. Again, I got this all laid out for you. My traders are ripping the face off of this market. Everything. My trades are now doing an over 80%, about an 82% overall success rate. Think about what I'm just saying to you. The trades that I am putting right on my website, if you're using them, you're winning 82% or better now percent of the time. I track my own trades over there. It's all there for you. There's a link in the description of this video. I break down every day. Okay, it takes me about 2 freaking hours to do this. I break down the S&P 500, ticker SBY, what's going on, crude oil, gold, Bitcoin, XRP, and I lay out trades for you. 82% of those trades have been successful. 82%. And for those of you that are making money, I know some of you are probably making more stupid money than you've ever made in the history of your life. Pay it forward. There's nothing wrong with making the system work for you, but you got to pay it forward. Does that sound about right to you? Donate to a charity that you believe in. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. It is good. I'm not tooting my own horn here. Okay, I got no horn to toot, and all the glory goes to God. Okay, I'm just a guy out here trying to make a difference. And that's, guys, listen, man. This is where you guys and girls come in. Look how many people are here right now. Imagine if people heard, if masses of people heard what I just covered here. They would say, hold on a minute. J.D. Vance, what's he talking about? President Trump, what's he talking about? The Fed, we know they're going to lower rates. They're killing the dollar. Who's responsible for monetary policy? Is it presidents, kings, queens, dictators, or monarchs? No. It's central banks. And the Federal Reserve has already erased 96% of the dollar's purchasing power. But now they got two politicians, the president of the United States and the vice president of the United States, working with them to say we need lower rates. We need a weaker dollar. You couldn't make that up if you tried to, but that's what we have. Make it up. All right, guys. Listen, we're going to get out of here. I love you guys with all I got, and I need you guys. To help get this stuff out there. Please share the video. Please get it out there. It's too important. This stuff here, guys, listen. What I just wrote for you, what I just covered for you is gold. This is gold. Right here, this is incredible, and that's what's happening. I want you guys to read through this, go over it here. And then this, the solution. This is it. Go to my newsletter. If you don't have another Substack, that's okay. Copy and paste this. Put it everywhere, upside down, backwards, and freaking sideways. People, in my heart, I believe with all that I am, okay, that we can make a positive difference, but we are the ones that have to do it. Does that make sense to you, to I, what I'm saying here? Do we really overstand? I'm getting my language straight. Come on, guys. I need you. I need you here. I need you bad. And all right, so look, please share the video, get it out there. If I have earned your thumbs up here, and I believe today, I'm going to just say it. I believe I have. Okay. Please give the video a thumbs up as well. All right. I'll see all of you in the morning. This video is probably going to get shadow banned, but that's where you guys and girls come in. Shove it right up there, Gulu. You know what I'm talking about? Shove it right up their Kulu. They want to shadow ban the video? Good. Let them try. You guys and girls, that's where you come in. You share this on every single social network you have. Who cares if people don't want to listen? Let me tell you something. You throw enough crap against the wall, something is going to stick, right, Clemente? I appreciate that. It's going to stick. So you keep flinging. If we keep flinging whatever we want at the wall, it's going to start to stick. More and more is going to stick. You get it here? Why do you think I'm out here twice a day? Why do you think I talk about this stuff till I'm blue in the freaking face? Love you guys. I'll see you in the morning, okay? That's all.